So tonight we have got Bigi joining us to share with us about setting boundaries. So would you like to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're going to be sharing with us, Bigi?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Bigi. I'm a queer and polyamorous parenting coach. I'm also the parent of a neurodivergent teen, and I'm the founder of Bigi Parenting. And mainly I help non-traditional families, so that's LGBTQIA plus families, solo parents, blended and polyamorous households, and any sort of non-traditional family structure. And I help them break free from the sort of societal norms and expectations, set healthy boundaries, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about today, and raise children with what I call radical acceptance, to create a secure and connected life on their own terms. And my philosophy is what I call intentional parenting. And I work with a lot of parents who are in sort of high function and overwhelm and used to juggling everything in their life. So today I'm going to share a little live called From Overwhelmed to Grounded about how to set boundaries that stick. And I'm going to explain what I mean by boundaries as well. So I've brought a presentation with me so you've got something to look at rather than just my face. So I can share that now, that's okay? Okay. Okay, bear with me. Okay, can you see that okay? Brilliant. Okay, so I've told you a little bit about what I'm going to cover, and I've introduced myself as well. Oh, sorry, gone too far. So the reason why I run this live is because mothers particularly, but all parents and all people tend to prioritize other people's needs above their own. That's kind of how we're societally structured. You know, don't ask for too much, don't take up space, look after everybody else. And we also generally, as mothers or women, carry the mental load, which is about, you know, juggling everything, household, family, admin, appointments, and then also worrying about, you know, whether we're eating healthily, sleeping enough, doing enough exercise, all that kind of stuff. And if we don't have boundaries around all that, then that's when that leads to burnout. That's when we get overwhelmed chronically and we can't cope. So that's why setting boundaries is really important. And that's why I'm doing this today. So setting boundaries will be about honoring your nervous system, claiming space for yourself, and protecting your own well-being. So it's not about setting rules on other people, it's about protecting yourself. So how do you know that you need a boundary? Well, quite often an emotion will come up like anger or anxiety. So I put, did your inner line get crossed? That's how you'll know that something's gone wrong. And or you know you suddenly feel overwhelmed or panicky and you don't know you can feel it and you're not necessarily aware of what's happening. It's just a message that those emotions are giving you. So I always say I don't use the term negative emotion. I always use the word difficult because they are definitely difficult to feel, but they are useful messengers, and ignoring them is not the answer. So all that happens if we ignore them is that they get louder, they get more chronic, or they shut us down, and that's when we go into burnout again. So that's not good for us or the people in our lives. So yeah, this is why we talk about this. And what normally happens when you're feeling that kind of emotion is you have a physical reaction. So it's about tuning into your body, like where in your body does it happen? Do you suddenly have a tight chest, for instance, or clenched jaw? You might start, your breath might start to get shallow or quicker, that kind of thing. You might also get hot. Oh, sorry. You might get too hot. And your heart rate might change as well. So there are bodily sensations that tell you that you're going into that sort of nervous system stress response or fight, flight, or freeze. and they need to be listened to and actioned as well. So there are a number of things you can do, and these are all about feeling the feeling. So rather than trying to get rid of the feeling, you're trying to let your body run through it. It's kind of like a wave. So you start in a social engagement system, you go up into overwhelm where your stress response is happening, and then you, in order to come back down the wave and go back into your social engagement system, you need to actually let yourself feel that sensation and those emotions rather than suppress them. And what that looks like is for anger, for instance, you could push a wall or a countertop. That's really helpful in order to release the anger. Anger always needs to meet resistance, so that's why that kind of action is useful. There's something else called the lion's breath, which is like, so you basically make a sound like ah and pull your tongue out at the same time, like ah, like that, or you can grunt. That's a really good way to release anger. And then there are other things you can do, like such as with anxiety, uh, humming a random tune is really good for regulating your nervous system when you're feeling particularly overwhelmed. And another example is mindfulness. So I've put a hand because that's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mindfulness exercise, which you might know about, which is focusing on 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can taste, and I can't remember. Oh yeah, 1 thing you can smell. And also, if you can't actually smell anything or taste anything, it's about maybe remembering something that you really like the taste of or like the smell of. That will also work to regulate your nervous system. Thank you, Sarah, for the help there. So, in terms of your sensations and those emotions, they are indicating a need of yours. So, I call that self nonviolent communication. So, I don't know if you know about nonviolent communication. There are 4 steps normally. The first step is the situation happens, and that tells you that there's a problem. The second step is to work out what your feeling is around that situation. And then the third step is to work out your need. Every emotion will indicate a need. And the reason why you are in a state of overwhelm or anger or anything that is not working for you is because that need is unmet at this present time. The way to work out what your boundaries are and how you can protect yourself is to be aware of those needs. So I've given lots of examples here. And generally, as I have put, it's not about willpower. It's about something quite physical and psychological that you need. So you might have a need for peace or reassurance. You'll know when something feels off. You'll need to ask, what do I need right now? And it might need me be something really obvious to start with, like I need, and it needs to be something that you can meet yourself, by the way. It's not something that you request from someone else to start with. So I really need space. I need to take 5 minute break, that kind of thing. And then underneath that need might be something else, like I need to be heard, or I need to have more support from people, or that kind of thing. And just to say that, again, as women or people assigned female at birth, we tend to think that our needs are too much. We're not used to asking for what we want or need. And needs are just human. And it's a really good way to look after yourself. If you're not used to talking about your needs or finding out what they are, it's really useful to use a needs list or a needs wheel. And the needs wheel is part of the nonviolent communication information available online. And that will help you get to grips with meeting those needs of yours. So I've put on the right, make a request. Once you've identified a need, sometimes it's about us making a request from someone else to help you meet that need. So you might say to your child, can you play on your own for a minute while I take a 5 minute break? Or you might say to the person you live with, I really need some time out tonight, so can you manage dinner? That kind of thing. But they're just requests, they're not demands, and it's totally normal for you to ask for these things. People can say no and you can negotiate. So I've got some examples here of what might happen in terms of triggers and those sensations and emotions and how you might feel and then what you might need as a result, just to sort of give some practical examples. So for instance, you're say you've got a child and they're being really loud or overwhelm themselves, and then you'll feel overwhelmed. You might say, okay, I'm going to take a pause and come back to this later. And that's a boundary. You know, you're not imposing anything on your child. You're just saying, this is what I need right now, and I'm going to take it for myself. Another one might be that you are not taking lunch when you're at work because you've got too many meetings and you're struggling to find the time. And then again, you feel a state of anxiety, you can't manage everything, and you realize, okay, from now on, I'm going to block out lunchtime in my calendar because I need that rest for myself. And a third example could be that you're having a conversation with someone about something quite difficult, say, and the person is interrupting you regularly. And you say to them, I'll pause the conversation if I can't be heard without interruption. And again, that's not rude. That's just saying, this is what I need in order to be able to have this conversation. And you might make a request like, are you willing to let me talk and listen until the end and then ask me any questions or say what you need to. And you can negotiate again on an answer to that because you're just making a request there. But the boundary is yours to say, and it's valid as long as you're not imposing something on somebody else and you're just saying, this is what I will do and will accept and won't accept, then that's a boundary and it's totally valid. So sometimes what happens is that, and quite often, especially as you start to set boundaries, is that you'll find that you discover your boundaries after you've crossed them. So you get cross, you might lose it, you might cry, that kind of thing, and then you realize, I need to set a boundary here for next time this happens because I don't want to handle it like this, or I really don't want to get in this state. It's hard work, it's uncomfortable. And that's totally normal again. There's no failure in doing that. It's how we learn about ourselves and it's how we learn about what we need. So use those moments to as an invitation to reassess and recalibrate your boundaries because you can refine them over time and they will change and evolve, especially with children. If you have them, you'll probably find that things that are valid for you when they're a particular age will change over time. And that's totally normal as well. Nothing has to be set in stone. And so saying something like, oh, I didn't realize that was a limit until now, is a totally valid insight, and actually it's necessary in order to be able to set boundaries that stick and work for you. Okay. So the great thing about this is that you don't have to be perfect because as I say, it's ever changing, but also you just get to practice. So again, drawing on the examples from earlier, there's lots of different things you try out. You might find that your boundaries are in the moment. So, oh, I really can't deal with this noise right now. I'm just going to take myself away and shut the door. That's the boundary. Or there might be long-term things. I really want, to have some time to myself in the evening. So from now on, from 8 o'clock, I'm just going to take an hour to myself. And again, it might not happen because life is not always like that, but that's something you can set and then negotiate with other people to make it happen if you want to. What I would say is that your emotions are valid, but you are responsible for them. So it's not other people that are responsible for your emotions. Um, and it's great. In my mind, that's great because that means that you have the power to do something about them. So there's nothing wrong with feeling particular emotions. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry, sad, or disappointed. It's how you express those emotions that's important. And so it's totally healthy to feel something like anger, for instance. I often choose anger because people tend to repress it, and that's not healthy. But remember that your children and your partners and anyone else in your vicinity is not responsible for your emotions. So you need to take responsibility for those yourself. You can feel them. You can feel them as in let yourself ride that wave of the difficult emotion, And then once you're back to your thinking brain, you can go, okay, I was feeling really angry here. This is what I would like to do to change the situation that's made me angry. Because, your boundaries are getting crossed sometimes. That's what makes you angry. It doesn't mean that it's okay to shout or, lose it with anyone. It's just how you express it then to practice your boundaries. So it all takes practice. And I would suggest starting with low stakes situations. So I've put a little TV there to say, if you tend to react quite strongly to, say, TV programs or films or stuff like that, that's a really good way to practice feeling your emotions fully and going through that wave. And then perhaps setting some boundaries. So you could say, like, okay, when I watch a sad film, I'm going to take 20 minutes afterwards to have a good cry or give myself a hug or have some affection from someone. And that would be a boundary as well. You might feel some frustration, for instance, if your internet signal has disappeared, or if you spill a coffee, and that's okay as well. So again, it would be about letting yourself feel that emotion and riding that wave until maybe push that wall or do something like that in order to feel more able to re-engage. Or it might be that you're feeling disappointed because your plans have changed, which is, it could be quite a low stake thing, but would be a good way to practice a boundary. Like, oh, next time my friend is 20 minutes late, I'll set a boundary with them. I'll say, I'm only coming if we keep to the right time, or I will leave after 10 minutes, say, that kind of thing. And really, it's about progress, not perfection. So I've put a little plant to say, like, we're growing all the time. So it's not about getting it right all the time. It's about, yeah, just trying it out and seeing what happens. So I would say choose to set one boundary for now, something that protects your energy or your attention or your peace. And like I said, you might take quiet time in the evening, for instance, or you might decide that if you want to feel calm, you need to make sure that the kitchen is tidy, that kind of thing. And that would help you to get used to setting boundaries with things that are higher stake, that are more difficult perhaps in your relationships. And practicing boundaries, you'll know when you're getting it in a way that serves you, when you're meeting your needs, because that will all feel aligned. You'll feel in line with your values, you'll feel in line with yourself, your nervous system will calm. It's so worth it. It really is. So I'm just wondering what tool you might try this week. So the lion's breath or the lion's grunt, depending on which one you want to try out, or the humming or singing a random tune. Generally something that you don't actually know that you just making up on the spot works really well. Or a boundary that you might practice. So taking time for yourself, taking rest maybe, or something else. And the main thing here is to listen to your body, listen to yourself. So it's about self-reflection and self-compassion. So where you can find me, I'm on Instagram at Bigi Parenting, or you can book a free chat with me on my website. And I also offer a free guide called the 5 Essential Parenting Tips for Cooperation and Connection Without Power Struggles. And it's an 8-page guide that you have access to for free if you join my mailing list. And that's it. So boundaries are the distance at which I can love you and myself. There's nothing wrong with having boundaries. It's just about having needs and it's about being human. And actually, by setting boundaries, you're inviting other people to do the same, to be aware of their needs, and that makes relationships so much easier. And it means that you can take care of yourself as well as others. Do you have any questions?
That was really good, thank you.
I can't remember how to stop sharing. There we are.
Yeah, I noticed lately that so we're having builders in to do work, and um I've been getting quite angry and sort of having to as I'm driving just roar generally. Um and I know it's because I'm not heard. I know that's the thing because you sort of feel like you're talking to a brick wall when you say, can you not do this or can you make sure that you do that or whatever, and then they leave and it's still not done.
Mm,
And sometimes you can voice that, that you're not listening to me. And it doesn't mean they're ever going to listen. So, but I think that acknowledging that that is the boundary that's been crossed has been helpful for me to realize why I'm so angry, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it gives you perspective, doesn't it?
Mm,
It
yeah.
gives you a chance to sort of see things for what they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you managed to sort of meet the need to be heard in some other way, like to be able to vent at somebody else
Oh yeah,
or
well, yeah, me and my husband vent at each other all the time, but we shouldn't really spend the evening moaning about the builders, should we?
yeah, no.
But yeah, um, yeah, we sort of I say, right, okay, we're done now. Let's move on. Let's have a little
Yeah,
little moan and then we'll move on and get on with the evening and forget about it because nothing else you can do, is there?
sounds really healthy.
I haven't got anything, so it was very interesting. I will have a think about it. Um, but yeah, it's it's quite interesting to think about it specifically because I think I just kind of everything I do on instinct. This is good, this is bad, and I will just tell you this is bad. And yeah, so I've not really thought about it in those terms. So I will have a think some more. Thank you.
hmm That's great. Yeah, we all learn differently, and some things do come instinctually for some people. There's also a lot of social conditioning, the societal expectations that I sort of deal with parents,
Yeah,
and sometimes we don't know which is which. We try to follow something, and we're not sure whether it's our own values or whether it's something that we've taken from a parent or society, and there is this alignment normally that happens, but when it's something that you've grown up with and you've always accepted as a given, it doesn't necessarily work for you, and yet we do follow it quite blindly. So that's worth questioning, I think. Especially, in what I do in terms of parenting, I think that's definitely worth questioning.
I think I realised looking back that I got this good girl complex, because I never said no. I always said yes to everybody else, but never considered me in that. I was like, no, I am here to serve everybody else. And I know a little bit of it was from going to brownies when I was little, because there's even the thing that you say, I know that
Yeah.
I must do my best to do my duty to God, to serve the Queen and help other people and keep the brownie guide law. So,
Oh, wow.
so
It's like indoctrination.
you are, yeah, it is a little bit culty when you think about it like that. It's great
Mm,
for getting their confidence out and learning things and doing things as a group, teamwork and all that. But the almost servitude of it sort of doesn't help girls, I don't think, in
yeah.
speaking up for themselves and saying no. Maybe it's different. It's probably different these days. This was in the 80s.
It's
Uh,
not, unfortunately, massively, no.
oh, it really isn't. Oh,
Yeah. No, my son did scouts for a bit and it was very much like that.
oh, okay. So that hasn't changed then. That's a bit of a shame,
Yeah.
really, because you can see the good parts of it, but when you think that you were only there to help out to please other people, well, that's how it
Yeah.
feels, then it's hard to ever
Yeah.
set boundaries. And then I remember when I first started to say no, people were just so shocked.
Yeah.
And then you have to face, what do you mean no? Like, how
hmm
dare you say no to me? Because you've always said yes.
hmm
And then you start to realize who exactly is using you, because they are the ones that get annoyed when you set a boundary.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is why, it's another workshop, I guess, but this is why I work with parents because in my mind, if we can, whatever we do in terms of setting boundaries is modeling that to our children.
Mm.
And then they learn that from childhood, and they learn
Yeah.
that actually their humanhood is valid too. They're not less because they're children, and their decisions, their needs, their everything about them matters too, just as equally.
Yeah.
And that to me is huge because that means they'll need a lot less therapy when they're older. You know.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that's a big one as well because, children, when they say children should be seen and not heard, That is another
Absolutely.
thing that you sort of
Yeah.
grow up feeling like you're a lesser citizen until you become an adult.
Yeah. And especially as
Um,
girls, we end up having that idea that we should please other people and not say no. And, and people pleasing is a huge problem because that is
mm,
essentially giving up your needs for other people, which means that you don't feel safe with other people because you can't say no, but people don't feel safe with you either because they don't know if you're going to tell them the truth about
yeah,
what you need or not. So it's a
exactly.
real issue around consent, around relationships. It's really big.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that it's sort of, I don't think I realized why I wanted to escape so much. I had a lot of, when I'm on my own, nobody can ask me.
Yeah.
That means I'm okay because I'm not going to say yes because nobody can ask me. So you start to avoid things because you don't realize that if you just put a boundary in, you don't have to avoid it.
Mm,
But
yeah.
it's
It
it,
is
it's a
easier said
difficult
than done,
thing.
isn't it,
It's
when you're
yeah,
not used to it. It feels like a big ask, doesn't it? Which is why I always advocate to start, small and then build up because that way you get used to it slowly and your nervous system gets used to it slowly as well, because it's
exactly.
scary. It's really scary.
Yeah, yeah. Right. Lovely. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks very much for having me.